Hi everyone, I'm Amy, this is my wife Maggie, and together we are ThinkerThemer, and we review games from two different perspectives. I'm all about the mechanics and Maggie is all about the theme. Today we're excited to be previewing for you Leaf, the new game by Tim Eisner. Now this is an unpaid preview with our honest opinions of the game and how it works. We want to give you an overview as to whether it's something that you should look to back or not. And we do want to say up front that everything that you're going to see in front of us is in prototype form. So the rules, the components, everything is subject to change. So make sure you go and check out the campaign.
All right, so in Leaf, we take the role of the spirit of the wind as we guide the leaves that fall from the trees as they're falling to the ground of the forest floor, so to speak. And as we guide them, we want to make sure that they land in just such a way to harness the ground and do things like help mushrooms grow and help the beautiful fauna, beautiful animals of the forest thrive. And all of these things will have obviously points attached to the
victory points.
Yeah, all for the sake of victory points, which will represent the health of the forest. So whoever contributed the most to the health of the forest will be the winner.
And the way that this game works is that mechanically you are going to be drafting these different types of leaves in order to create this beautiful mosaic of leaves that is going to grow bigger and bigger as the game progresses to look like the forest floor. Exactly. Yeah. But the way that you're going to draft from these different types of leaves is using cards that you have in your hand. So you start the game with 3 leaf cards, and there's going to be a pile of leaf cards that you're going to be able to access. But on your turn, all you do is you simply choose one of the cards to play from your hand that has a particular type of leaf. So for example, silver maple here. That will allow me to take the next available silver maple leaf from the top of the pile, and that's going to be the piece tile, if you will, that you're going to play down into the board space area. Now, why you want to do that is because each of the leaves that are already down on the forest floor are different colors, and each of these colors corresponds to different actions in this game. And the interesting thing about this game is the leaf that I place into this pile is not going to activate itself. So this obviously has a color in and of itself, but it's not going to activate that. It's going to activate the other leaves that I can touch with this leaf. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to align this leaf. So you can see that the tips of this leaf have a little indicator shown where they can connect to other leaves. I want to align those with 2 connection points on the puzzle as it is currently. So if I was to place that there, it would be connecting to these other tips of these leaves. And what that does is it activates every leaf that it's touching. So here, or I could even almost connect
3 points,
all 3.
but it's still only 2 leaves.
Connecting to 3 different leaf tips, but I'm only connecting to these 2 leaves. This leaf, the orange leaf, refers to animals. And so we're going to also be drafting animals in this game. By touching this leaf, I can choose one of the available animals in the market, take that and recruit it and put it off to the side. It's not going to score for me yet. At the end of every round in this game, you can see here on this board, we're going to be progressing this marker, which we'll come back to in a moment. We get the opportunity to put away the largest group of animals. So if I had more squirrels and other animals, well then it would only be the squirrels. And I would take them, turn them over and put them into the winter den. And that means that they're going to be able to score, hopefully, at the end of the game. So that is how we draft animals. The other thing is I'm touching this green leaf, and this green leaf is the way that I'm going to be able to get more cards. And you quickly realize in this game that you need to keep replenishing your hand of cards by connecting to green leaves. So that would allow me simply to take a new card and add that to my hand. If at any point in the game you run out of cards on your turn, you have a penalty. You're going to get -3 acorns, and in this game, acorns is victory points. So we're going to lose 3 victory points, but also that will allow us to take 2 new cards from the deck. Essentially a distress action to help you get back into the game. Now, there are a few other colors of leaves that can be added and activated into this puzzle. So if we imagine that this was built out a little bit more with some different colored leaves like this, you can see how it starts to grow out.
Great connections there.
If we were to activate the yellow leaves, that allows you to collect a sun token. These sun tokens are collected in front of you until you have 3. And then at the end of any given turn, you can take those 3 sun tokens, cash them in, and that's what drives this marker forward. It gives you acorns to the tune of what's written on the board. So in this case, if I had 3 suns to exchange, I would get 6 acorns or victory points. And you can see that that declines as we progress further along that track in terms of the number of victory points that you're going to be getting. So that's like a built-in timer. It's an incentive for people to collect suns and then to exchange them in for victory points. The only other way that this timer moves forward is when one of these piles of leaves is depleted, it's going to push forward that tracker, but in that case you don't get the reward of victory points. So if you want those, you have to be working on the suns. The other color here that you can see, or 2 other colors, one is red, and that activates mushrooms in this game. Now in this game, you're going to have your collection of baby mushrooms that you're going to be able to put out into this pile of leaves. So if I was to activate this red style leaf, I would be allowed to put a baby mushroom somewhere onto this map. Now, what you're eventually trying to do is build out this connection of mushrooms. However, they're not valuable when they're in baby form. What you really want to do is have grown adult mushrooms, and by activating this red leaf, instead of placing a new one out into the network, you can upgrade one to an adult mushroom. Now, that is going to score, and the way the scoring works is the bigger the cluster that you have of adult mushrooms, the more points you're going to get at the end of the game. There's also a little element around area control, or area majority in this game, in that everyone else can also put mushrooms onto the same leaves. And what happens is when we connect a new leaf to a leaf that has mushrooms on it, it's going to, yep, that will fit there.
That'll work.
It's going to activate the leaves that are connected to it, obviously, with the actions, but you also activate people's mushrooms that are there. And basically, the person who has the largest mushroom in that group of mushrooms, so in this case, I would and Maggie wouldn't, gets a sun. So you're going to get bonus suns for people connecting to your network of mushrooms. Now, the only other type of leaf that I haven't spoken about is the brown leaf, and the brown leaf relates to this tree that's over on the side here. This tree, everyone starts at the bottom of it, and everyone has a little squirrel meeple, and you're going to be trying to connect to brown colored leaves to move up the tree. As you move up the pathway on the tree, you get bonuses along the way in the form of sun tokens. You might get some straight acorn tokens, so victory points, some additional leaf cards, as well as being able to draft new animals. Now, the other part of that is the person who's at the highest point in the tree at the end of the game is going to get a bonus 6 victory points, and then there is some points for second place as well. Now, the game does play 2 to 4 in a 2-player game. You use this side of the board. In a 3 or 4 person game, you turn the board over and it extends the length of the game. And that's essentially it. So now we'll just talk a bit about who we think this game is for and what we thought about it.
Okay, so the first thing that's gonna hit you, even though this is the prototype, is how gorgeous. Well, the concept, I really love the concept of, these leaves falling and you guiding them and making sure that they land just so and that they kind of connect just so. And it's just a beautiful, from an artwork point of view, the aesthetic of it. I love that production. The animal cards, I am absolutely in love with those animal cards. I can just look at them for days, almost to the point where I wish I would it's like I often find that when I'm playing it, I don't end up getting a lot of animals, but it's like, I wish I would because they're just so gorgeous. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I enjoy about this.
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is that this game is a very light experience.
Yes.
So it is not hugely full of that competitive tension or aggression. It is a game that if you like games like Planted or like Parks, it has more of that easy breezy feel where it's very much about this experience of building out this group of leaves together.
Beautiful floor, yeah, with all the
It's
leaves.
still competitive,
Yeah.
but the competitiveness is not it's not aggressive in any way. You're really just trying to leverage other people's placement in order to best utilize your leaf that you're placing. I do like in the game the puzzle of how to place these shapes so they connect to other shapes. Not always that easy. You think it would be quite easy, but because they're all different shapes, sometimes you're left like trying. Does that actually touch? And
It's like, I couldn't quite find the right corners. Or there's the particular leaves that you definitely, it's like, I really want a combo of this leaf and that leaf, but they're too far apart. Or can I make them work? If I have the right shape, can I connect them and kind of do that stretch? I enjoy that aspect.
I enjoy it too, but I also thought
the tension of it is like, I'm going to say like the tension is kind of like the pace of a leaf falling from a tree. Like it's that sort of level of resistance. It's not, it's not like, oh my goodness, like high adrenaline sort of, my brain is burning. It's just like a very
peaceful,
soothing,
and it's beautiful to look at. I really enjoy the way the leaves do like build out on the forest floor, and you do need to, like what we're showing you here is not enough table space because you do end up building out quite a beautiful pattern of leaves. I do enjoy that the more we played this game and the more we became familiar with kind of the strategy of the game, Maggie and I did get a little aggressive with each other in terms of like trying to place leaves such that it would make it almost impossible for another leaf to connect to it. So that was kind of a fun like
leaf blocking.
You'll never be able to get a leaf into that like tiny little gap.
I also noticed like the puzzle of having that limited with those green cards and really needing to constantly make sure that you're adding more to those green cards, because you can very easily, if you're not paying attention, it comes back to your turn and you go, oh no, I've spent all my plant cards and now I have to take that penalty token, which is quite a painful thing to take on.
-3 acorns is, you don't get a lot of acorns in this game, so that is a really annoying minus.
And I found that that became quite competitive because we both knew like that, the green leaves were going to be the kind of hot property, and so you make sure that you're putting your mushroom there, and you make sure that becomes a little bit more tense. Or again, like you start, so there's sort of layers that start unfolding, even though it's still by and large a much lighter experience. Definitely much lighter than Canopy. Other Tim Eisner games like Tim was involved with obviously Wonderland War and Tidal Blades, and obviously all of those games are a lot more complex or heavier.
Yeah. I think the comparison to Canopy is a good one because Canopy is obviously still in a similar setting with trees and forests and fauna and flora. That is a 2-player only game, and I would say is much more complex than this. So this is very much simplified. This is going to be a very accessible game.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is player count. So we played this at all player counts from 2 to 4. For my preferences, I actually enjoyed it most at a 2-player game. Obviously, obviously the puzzle is slightly different when you've got more people because there's more people for vying going up the tree. So you may want to put a little more attention on that, or people blocking the spots that you want to take, and so by the time it gets around to your turn, you've got to rethink your strategy a little bit. But for that reason, I actually preferred the snappier turns of a 2-player game, because I felt like as soon as I was ready to draft another leaf, you had just placed one, and so it was my turn again. And so we could get through a game of this really quickly, and it made for like quite a nice filler and quite engaging, because at the end of the game, you are really summing up your mushrooms as well as your acorns that you've collected along the way, the animals that are stored in your winter den, the points of the tree. And no matter which strategy I was taking, it always felt like it was ending in a fairly close game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So,
but not to the point where it feels like, it doesn't matter what you do, it's always going to be the same. Like there's still quite a lot of little kind of levers in terms of I think it's interesting because I don't feel like some games can be too kind of almost like too uniform, whereas like you kind of feel like, well, there's almost no point.
Doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah. Whereas in this one, there feels like there's enough variety, but nothing feels out of balance.
Yeah, and I think one thing that the thing that I like most about the mechanics is that the leaf does not activate the color of the leaf that it is, which reduces a bit of the randomness of different colors of leaves appearing, and kind of gives you a similar opportunity to everybody else to be able to activate things on the board. However, you can't do everything you want in one turn. So yes, if I go over here, I'm going to get 2 cards, which is really great because it sets me up. Yeah. But like in the meantime, Maggie's going to go get another sun token and claim that next 6 victory points. So I really found like keeping an eye on who had sun tokens.
Their sun collection.
You can't really ignore that part of the game because there are a lot of acorns up for grabs for cashing in 3 of those. So yeah, it's just kind of like, well, which part am I going to score and how's that going to advance my game? And it all works really nicely together.
They're a pleasant experience.
Yeah. Also, it's really easy to know or remember which colors activate which part of the game because there's a little icon
inside the leaf.
On the center of the leaf, and that is super helpful. So obviously the components might change further as the campaign progresses, but we hope that gives you a good overview of how it plays and why it might be a game for you. If you enjoyed this preview, please hit like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll be back with more board game content soon. But otherwise, bye for now. Bye.